Hi everyone, welcome to Bournemouth and Paul RC Car Repair. Today we've got a 3.3 Traxxas Slash Nitro. Quite an unusual car, quite rare in the UK actually. Most people that were looking for the 3.3 two-wheel drives bought the Traxxas Jato, but here we have a Nitro. This one's come in because it's got the clutch has gone on it. So the two clutch pads that live within the bell housing that's on the Nitro engine, the springs either split or disappeared somewhere, and needs replacing. Customer's had a go at it himself, but unfortunately didn't do it correctly, I believe. So I'll take the body shell off first of all. Here we go, just give you guys a quick look at it. So yeah, nice clean example, to be honest. A couple little bits of damage on it, but you know, these are quite old now, these cars. Parts are a bit scarce, but the parts are compatible with the two-wheel drive Rustler 3.3 Nitros. First thing you do when you've got a Nitro is of course to isolate the tank if there's some nitro left in it. So you do that by pulling the fuel line from the carb off and then taking the exhaust blow and just popping like that. There we go. So now when I turn it upside down and when I disconnect the engine, the nitro is not going to go everywhere. So there we are. Next step we're going to do, I'll just show you guys what the actual problem is first of all. So inside here there should be a circlip on here and also a tightening screw and a washer. As you can see, it's missing, so I'm going to get that taken off camera. I'm going to remove the tyre and we'll look at removing the engine. I've taken the tyre off. To get the engine out, I've got to be honest, it's a bit hit and miss for me. I've not worked on these two-wheel drive Slash Nitros before. I'm going to guess it's the two bolts here and here, and then there's one buried right the way down here and here, which you can't seem to get at unless you take off the cooling head. Sorry, I didn't see that on camera, did you? In there and in there. I'm going to give it a go off camera and see how I get along. So on further inspection, you can't get to these bolts down here. Oh, there we go, that's fallen off. I've unscrewed this, which is the cap which goes on top of here. It looks like I need to unscrew the cooling head itself to get to those four bolts. So I'll do that off camera and see how we get along. So I've unscrewed the cylinder head, which is simply the bolts that are in here holding them in. As you can see, they're just there. So I'm going to place that to one side. There's the copper ring, which you'll be very careful not to break it because it's through the heat cycles that the Nitro engines have, they become quite brittle. No gasket paper in there, which is quite surprising, so it proves to me that I'm not the first person to go in here. As you can see your piston and your cylinder wall liner here. All looks in good condition. There's no scores. There's a bit of a chip on there, which you can see, which says to me the vehicle's been running a bit too lean. So the owners, I'll richen the fuel mixture for him. It'll be a bit slower, just to show you can see you guys in there. Be a bit slower, but it means it's safer for the vehicle. Don't want to overspeed these 3.3s, especially with the price of how these engines are nowadays. They're more expensive than the car itself. But doing so has allowed me to get to these here, which that's the wrong fitment. So I should be able to put my trusty Allen key down in there and remove the engine. So I'll do that off camera and we'll see how we get on. So I've undone the four bolts. The engine's now loose, as you can see, so that's ready to come out. Only a couple of things holding it on, so I'll try and do that while I'm on the camera, just to see how we get along. So I'm going to take the air filter off. I should go over there. Engine, need to disconnect the throttle linkage, which sometimes can be easier said than done. It should just pop off with a little bit of leverage. There we go. And the engine is still stuck on something. Let's have a look. Oh, of course, it's the exhaust. Let's quickly take the exhaust bit off. Just going to remove this off camera because it's a bit fiddly. As I thought, with a bit of wiggling, the engine's come out now. I'm just going to disconnect the remaining wires and things from the engine. So there he is, he's out. There's the truck as it is. That's the clutch bell assembly. As you can see, spring's gone walkies and it's heavily damaged the back plate, unfortunately. Hopefully have a look at that in a second, see if it's fixable. Let's get rid of the truck out of the way for the meanwhile. Right, I'm just going to inspect this off camera just to see what's going on with it. A bit of an odd one, this one that I've not seen before. So this is the clutch bell housing with the little spur on there, sorry, pinion on there even, I should say. Let me wait for the camera to focus on it. There we are. So as you can see, there should be two bearings in here. One of them sits that side. Ooh, one of them sits that side like that. One of them sits the other side in there like that. This one was missing one of the bearings, like completely gone, and no evidence of it, and the other one had completely shattered. So you can't quite see that on the camera probably, but there's no bearing casing on there, and all the little ball bearings are off centre. So the spring's also gone. So this is the clutch here, centrifugal clutch. What happens is when the engine meets a certain RPM, as defined by the spring, these then open up like so, like this, and they rub in this clutch bell housing here when that sits on there, which then turns this round. The clutch shoes aren't particularly worn. There's a little bit of burring on them, but not something that would make it cause to fail. So not sure what's happened here. But what I'm going to do for the customer is order up a new clutch bell kit, which is clutch shoe kit even, which is new clutch shoes and a spring which goes around the outside. So I'll update you guys once that arrives. But that'll be in a couple of days' time. But you probably won't see any difference because I'm going to make a new video. Cheers! So a whole week has passed and the parts have finally arrived. Time to fit them. That's the part number in case you're wondering. Just there, 4146X. Make sure you get the X one and not the old stock, which is the one which is the 4146. 4146X has got a higher density clutch paddle on it, so it lasts longer and is therefore better. So let's quickly get this opened up. £9.45 as you can see, but there's postage charge on top of that as well because there's no local hobby shops around here. I think it was like £3.50 postage, which for 2 bits of plastic and a spring is pretty mad, but hey, you know, you got to pay it. So let's get this open. And here we go, and this is all we get for our money. Spring that goes around the outside of the clutch, and then 2 little bits of plastic. There we go. Yeah. So let's get these fitted. So they go in here. The engine is obviously directional, and it goes on from memory. It goes on there. I better check this in a second, but I'm pretty certain, as in 99.9% certain. It goes on there. You can tell by the wear marks on here how it's spun up. You put these on here, and the spring's got to go around this. You've got to connect the spring to itself, which is quite a challenge. So I'm going to have to do that off camera. Right, I've got the spring round the little clutch shoes. For anyone that's watching this as a guide, the best thing to do is loop your spring together first of all without the clutch shoes inside, then put one clutch shoe inside and then the other one on the other side, just making sure that you both get them the opposite way. So you've got hole at the top, hole at the bottom. Don't do it so you've got both holes at the top, because then you have to take it back out again. Then we can mount it back onto our whatever you want to call this, flywheel thing. Just trying to remember which way around it goes. Pretty sure it was this way, but it could have been that way. I'm going to have to watch the video back to see which way around, because I couldn't remember which way around. So just off camera, I've put the squash washer on here. I've then also put the bearing 1 and bearing 2, both brand new, into the clutch bell. So that's going to go on there like that. Then we're going to put our little circlip onto here, which I'm going to do off camera because that's going to be a bit of a nightmare. So give me 2 secs. So push that on using a pair of pliers just here, and as you can see now, it's on there nice and tight. It's got a little tiny bit of slack in it, which is exactly what you need. You need a little bit of breathing space between the back plate here and the clutch bell thing itself. So yeah, that's now on there, ready to go. I'm going to put the vehicle back together now, which I'll start with putting the head on and everything. So let's get that started. So we've got our copper washer from last time, so that's going to sit on there like so. There was no gasket paper on this before. I was under the impression they all had them, but clearly not. And there's the head that's there. So just remembered I need to put this back on the vehicle first because you can't do it with the put it back in the vehicle without the head on. So here we go. One slash with no, well, completely gutted actually. So I'm just going to jimmy this in here. I'll do that off camera because that's needs two hands. So after a lot of jimmying and jallying, this is now back in. Bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you. But hey, there you go. This is what you get for fiddling with nitros. So wiring loom's all nicely tucked out the way. So what we're going to do is there's these 4 little bolts which look like this. That's what actually mounts the engine to the truck itself. So I'll get these ready to put on. Should nicely all bolt in, because like I say, I've not modified anything. I've not put not changed the spur gear, not changed the size of the pinion, nothing like that. So this should go in nice and simple. But that is the famous last words. Again, with all things mechanical, when you're tightening it, you want to do it in a cross pattern, just to make sure you're getting equal distance between the two. I should have put these in before I put the motor in, actually. That was a bit of a hindsight. Hopefully I should be able to jimmy them into the hole. I'll get these lined off camera. Okay, so back again, that wasn't too bad. Just need to tighten these down now. There's one. 2. And the final one. 3. Lovely. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our head back on. Again, not forgetting the copper washer. There is a right way to do this, so you've got to have the smooth side facing up. It makes sense when you're looking at it close in. Then we've got our cooling head just here, which I'm going to put in. That's got the bolts all in it already, ready to go once they fall into the hole. So there we go. This is not hand in any way, shape or form, despite the fact it looks like it on here. This can go on any way that you like. So just going to line him up like so, and then I think this was the 2mm socket, what you want to call it. Yes, it was. So I'm just going to quickly do this up. I'm going to zip this together off camera because you don't really want to watch that bit. All zipped together. Turns out they're actually the 2.5mm ones, not the 2mm I thought it was originally. So head's now back on. So now we reconnect our throttle bit while I'm looking at it. So this should simply snap on like so. There we go. So that should now be on there. Yes, that's on there. Jolly good. We can now reconnect our, where are we? Where's that gone? There he is. Reconnect our exhaust bracket, just so that doesn't get bent and out of kilter. So that goes in here. The plastic pipe on these Traxxas isn't great, to be honest with you. They've got a habit of melting, and then that of course adjusts the tune that you've got on your car. So the metal pipe is really good. you've got to make sure you buy the right pipe. Then don't buy the generic pipes that you see on AliExpress or Temu or whatever. They've got to be specifically designed for the engine. The reason being is because these are two-stroke. They need what's called a little bit of blowback, with the crankcase being pressurized in here, where the inlet on the crank is open at the same time as the fuel inlet bit. You need pressure in here to keep the fuel and the air mixture nice and at the right mixture. If you buy the cheap ones, then these can be any size. I mean, they can be tiny or they can be massive, and it doesn't give the right blowback and the car runs like crap. If you buy the correct ones, then the difference in the car is night and day. So just a top tip for you, don't buy the crap ones. So there we go. That is the motor back in. So I'm just going to reconnect these cables here and put everything back together. It's pretty much back together actually. I'm just going to put the head bolts back on there, which is the protecting bit. So that slides in here with a little bit of persuasion, probably with the hitting stick in a second. There we are. And then that's your glow plug wire, which is very irritating to push back in. That has to go onto the glow plug. I'll do that in a second. Reconnect the cables to the starter motor there. Reconnect the pipes back up for the fuel, and she is good to go. Just going to reconnect this all back together because it's not the most fun thing to watch, and I'll be back in 2 seconds. So I've just finished putting all the bits together for the car. It's looking really good. Just giving it a quick test out for the customer. So throttle, as good as it can be for these servos. The 2055 servo with Traxxas is not very good. Customer has said that had a bit of a whinge about the brakes not being great. As we can see, there's a little bit of slack in the line here. He's asked me to change over the servo. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to, because as you can see, that bit here pulls that. There's a lot of slack here. I'm going to adjust this for him, and I'm going to see. Let's put the wheel back on first, just to give this a fair test. Make sure the wheel nut is. There we go. So let's quickly bong this back on. Where are we? Just quickly screwing this wheel back on here. There we go. Give it a quick test just to make sure it turns over and I've got the red and the black wire around the right way. Yep, that sounds great. Right, so he puts the brake on. Yeah, the brake's garbage on that. Let's quickly adjust that. So that's using the 1.5mm Allen, or hex if you're American. Quickly undo this. Let's just take up the slack in this. I want a little bit of play in it, so let's put him just there. That's a lot better. That's a big improvement. It actually stops now. And it's not binding either, so I'm happy with that. Customer still might want to change the servo out because the 2055, like I said just now, is not very good. But that's 100% improvement. So there we go. Yeah, all done, guys. So really appreciate you for watching the video. Please do drop a comment or a like or whatever you want to do if it's been fun to watch. I've got to put the air filter back on this, which is a 2-second job. I'll do this now while you guys are watching. So that's a simple case of taking off the pin here. That goes into there. He does need a new air filter, I will tell him about that. Well, not filter, but the sponge. Let's put this back on. There we go. And then grab that which you just took off and put him back on there. Oops. Where are we? There we are. Lovely. She is ready to go. I might film a little bit of this running around the garden a bit. So it'll probably be the same video. So you'll see it running in a couple of seconds probably. But see how we get on. don't think the battery's powerful enough to heat the glow plug and turn it over, so I have to give it a charge and give it another go. Just so it doesn't eat up load of video, I'll do it on a separate one. If it starts up in the loft, then I will I'll turn it off and do it again. There you go, beautiful, look at that. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Yeah, so I've replaced the clutch in here today. I would run it for a bit longer, but it's going to stink my loft out. Car pulls away really well. The clutch is biting perfectly because it's brand new. Customer's going to be really, really happy. I'm going to take it for a spin around the garden because I love Nitro, basically. I'll video record it as well, do a little video for you guys to watch. If you've got any questions, drop them below. If you need your RC car repaired in Bournemouth, Poole, Dorset, Christchurch, surrounding Dorset area, hit me up. I'll get them fixed for you. All right, thanks guys. We are inside with the Slash. Got the easy start wand here. Put him in. Get ready with the trigger. It's going to be quite hard to do one-handed.